What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to get into the Kentucky Ole Miss college football game, week 5. I'm going to break down the entire game, talk to you guys about where I'm going to be at, some of the betting trends, and what's going on with the number. So before we get down into it, take care of some business for me. If you guys want to follow me here on YouTube and on X, I would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you all subscribe right down below. It's totally free to do so on all these platforms. That's just way to stay in tune and in touch with what I have to say on a daily basis. So make sure you guys all follow me on the socials, okay? And let's get down into it. Let's look into outlier as we're going to go over to kind of the board for Kentucky and Ole Miss. Right now, as we look into the game, you can see right now Kentucky is a overwhelming underdog here, plus 570. Kind of interesting little number here if you want to take a flyer at a money line. Okay, but right now we are seeing Kentucky plus 16.5. I did take them earlier in the week when we did our look aheads where we did have Kentucky plus 17, but 16.5 at minus 110 is where Kentucky would be at. Now, something interesting to want to talk about in this game is the over in this game is 52.5. That may be one where we do look at possibly even getting into territory where that's way too many points. Okay, I know Ole Miss and the fastest show on turf that Lane Kiffin and company likes to deploy. Jackson Dart at the helm. They're going to want to play with tempo, pace, but we see all 4 of their weeks 1 through 4 games had a pre-flop total in the 60s. Now all 4 of those games pretty much had a chance to go under. The only outlier there was 76-0 against Furman, where Ole Miss did not cover the under, okay? But this is where we look at Ole Miss. They have a laundry list of injuries, okay? Ole Miss is tattered. They're dealing with a lot. And Kentucky coming off of a loss, a heartbreaker against Georgia. It's going to be very interesting to see how this one shakes out. For me, I did take Kentucky plus 17 earlier in the week. I know it's a little bit probably public play. That's why we're seeing the number move down. There's getting a lot of action, a lot of steam on Kentucky and Ole Miss. And if we look at kind of what's going on even from a betting standpoint, I'll go a little bit deeper down the board. You can see kind of all the bets are on Ole Miss. However, we do get 49% of the money is on Kentucky and the spread. Probably why we're seeing a little bit of that line movement where we did have this number come down from 17.5 all the way down to 15.5 as it's currently sitting. Okay, so you do get 2 touchdowns with Kentucky still at this number. For me, it was a play at 17. Not so much in love with it at 15.5. Just kind of how I feel about it. Other things we want to talk about in this game, I am going to break down a little bit of the matchup and kind of my analysis. Okay, this is where we look into kind of what Kentucky's able to do in terms of defense. You saw what they were able to do and how they performed against Georgia. Now they basically take all that, throw it out the window because they're facing, it's almost like you're going to face a triple option. Not so much in running the football, but it's a completely different game plan. So there was no look-ahead spot. Kentucky wasn't sleepwalking and looking ahead for Georgia, and conversely, maybe a little bit for Georgia, why they laid an egg as they were looking forward to that Alabama game. That's a horrible scheduling snafu where you do go Kentucky on the road and then you go play the likes of Alabama on the road. So Georgia, if they get through this gauntlet, that's really a testimony to, I think, how good they are this year. But this is something where we look at Ole Miss returning a lot of players. And now that we're seeing with Ole Miss is they're running the football, okay? And when they run the football, they do spread them out. They get a lot of chunk gains. There are big, big runs. They don't get, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's not some phone booth, Big Ten I formation football game. They're going to spread you out. They're going to create running lanes, and they are going to get it done. Right now, averaging over 7 yards a carry for their lead running back. Also to go along with 7 touchdowns. They have done a very, very good job up front from the offensive line. However, they really haven't played anybody that much of a formidable opponent for Ole Miss. Kind of why I'm going to Kentucky. I think they have a lot more of a pedigree right now. Scrappy bunch. They're going to play hard as nails with what Mark Stoops is going to be able to do going into town, into hot toddyville. It's something where I think that, thank God this is a 12 o'clock game. There'd be a lot of libations, a lot of bourbon being consumed. If you've ever been down to Ole Miss, it's a very fun city, okay? But that's something where one of my favorite campuses to watch a college football game. But you get kind of more of a lean towards the under that I'm going to look at. Right? Defensively, Kentucky likes to run the football. Ole Miss, they like to stop the running of the football. Okay, so Ole Miss has the edge in a lot of the defensive categories. Also, Kentucky really struggles to throw the football. Well, Ole Miss plays really good pass defense. So it does set up where Ole Miss is going to stifle Kentucky. However, I just lean towards the argument that Kentucky is a scrappy bunch. They play some good defense themselves, and I think that when we see the Kentucky defense right here, the number one thing that they do cause, and this is something where they are able to limit you in terms of yards per play. So that's kind of why we're seeing the total being bet down. I think this is where we see the number settling at a pretty fair price, under 52.5. It's actually gone up a point and a half since the open, but I do look for kind of this to be a lower pace of play. I think Ole Miss is going to have to I guess you would say, stutter a little bit. Their offense may not work as smooth as we're used to seeing, but we do open up SEC play right now, and I think Ole Miss has a really good chance of making that college football playoff and creating some problems for a lot of teams. It's very hard to match up against Ole Miss, okay? You either can or you can't, and really, quite frankly, you could see how much that gave Nick Saban fits when he was at Alabama, and now you get Kentucky where they try to play that kind of same, similar, grind it out. We're going to, SEC grinded out football inside the tackles. We'll see what happens, but I think this is way too many points. So I do look for Kentucky in terms of the play where I would lend towards the under. Also, I do think that Kentucky with the points, I bet it at 17. So if you don't want to take Kentucky, getting the 15.5, you think you want that extra field goal cushion to get outside that 2-score game. This is where I think that you can see Kentucky going toe-to-toe, a little bit of a phone booth game. I think that the under is a firm play as well. If you can find that 52.5, that's kind of where I'd be at. I wouldn't take it down to 51, but I would not be shocked if this game was played in the 20s, and we do get like kind of a late score to kind of decide this one. So the biggest also trend and insight that I can give you is I did see a graphic and metric on ESPN a little earlier in the week, kind of led me to take the points here. Of all 3 times this game has been played, the cumulative game difference when we talk about the margin of victory between these 3 clubs for whoever has won or lost this game, it was like basically a 1 through 4 decision in all 3 of those contests. So I think the total it's been decided by less than a score in each time that these teams have played. I may be wrong on that. I may have misinterpreted that, but nonetheless, it does lend towards taking Kentucky with the points, and we will have a very strong lean towards the under. So that's what I got for you guys in this video. Appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe on your way out, and we'll see you guys all in the next one where we go over the best bets, where we're going to be talking about a lot of games today. My video out with the full breakdown of the entire card is out as well. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Good luck with your picks. Cheers.